The true story of Cleopatra did something extraordinary. She learned to speak the Egyptian language, the first in her dynasty to do so. She wasn't just ruling from the throne, she was speaking to her people in their tongue. This alone made her stand out. She wasn't just a foreign queen ruling Egypt. She became, in the eyes of many Egyptians, their queen. At just 18 years old, after the death of her father, Cleopatra was crowned co-ruler of Egypt. But she didn't sit on the throne alone. By tradition, she shared power with her 10-year-old younger brother, Ptolemy XIII. And from that moment on, Cleopatra's reign began not in peace, but in conflict. What followed was a brutal civil war. Cleopatra and her younger brother, or rather his advisors, clashed for absolute control of Egypt. She was forced into exile, while her brother's faction took over Alexandria. And then, fate intervened. Rome's most powerful man arrived in Egypt, Julius Caesar. Caesar wasn't just a general, he was the ruler of the world's strongest empire. Cleopatra understood instantly. If she wanted her throne back, she needed Caesar's support. So she devised one of history's most legendary entrances. As the story goes, she had herself smuggled into Caesar's palace, rolled up in a carpet. When the carpet was unfurled, Caesar found not just any woman, but a young, striking queen staring directly into his eyes. It was a moment that would change the course of history. Cleopatra had won Caesar's attention, not just as a woman, but as a brilliant strategist. With Caesar's backing, she defeated her brother's forces. Ptolemy XIII drowned in the Nile while trying to escape. And just like that, Cleopatra was restored as Egypt's true queen. This was no fairy tale romance. Cleopatra and Caesar's bond was as political as it was personal. For Cleopatra, Caesar was her shield, Rome's might protecting her throne. For Caesar, Cleopatra was Egypt itself, its riches, its grain, and its gateway to the east. Their alliance went deeper. Cleopatra bore Caesar a son, Caesarion. To her, this boy wasn't just a child. He was the future, a chance to merge the bloodlines of Rome and Egypt, creating a dynasty that could rule the known world. But in Rome, Cleopatra's presence caused outrage. To them, she was not a queen, but a foreign temptress. They feared she was bewitching Caesar, pulling him away from Rome and towards the east. And then, the unthinkable happened. In 44 BC, Julius Caesar was assassinated in the Roman Senate. Cleopatra's protector was gone. Her dream of ruling beside him shattered in an instant. Yet Cleopatra was not finished. With Caesar dead, she sought a new ally in Rome's shifting power struggle. And she found him, Mark Antony, one of Rome's most skilled generals. Their relationship was explosive. Cleopatra and Antony became partners in love and in ambition. Together, they envisioned a new empire, one where Antony ruled the West and Cleopatra the East. But to Rome, this was treason. Another Roman, Octavian, Caesar's adopted heir, saw Antony and Cleopatra's union as a direct threat to his power. And so, the stage was set for one of history's most decisive confrontations, the Battle of Actium, 31 BC. Cleopatra and Antony's fleet met Octavian's navy in a desperate clash. But betrayal, poor coordination, and Roman cunning led to disaster. Their forces were crushed. Defeated, Antony fell on his own sword. Cleopatra, refusing to be paraded as a captive in Rome, chose her own fate. Legend says she allowed a venomous asp, a snake to bite her. And with her death, Egypt's independence died too. Cleopatra's suicide marked more than the end of a life. It was the end of an era. Egypt became a Roman province, stripped of its sovereignty. Her son, Caesarion, the boy who could have united Rome and Egypt, was executed by Octavian. The line of pharaohs, stretching back thousands of years, was extinguished forever. Octavian, now Augustus Caesar, became Rome's first emperor. Cleopatra's dream had collapsed, and her legacy was rewritten, not by her people, but by her enemies. Over the centuries, Cleopatra has been painted as the ultimate seductress, a woman who ruled through beauty and desire. But the reality is far richer. She spoke multiple languages, negotiated with kings, commanded armies, and kept Egypt stable in the shadow of Rome. She used her charm as a weapon, yes, but her true weapons were intelligence, diplomacy, and courage. Yet the myths have often overshadowed the woman herself. And so, we are left with the question, what if Cleopatra were alive not in 30 BC, but in 2025? Would she still rely on alliances with powerful men? Or would she dominate as a leader in her own right, an influencer, a politician, perhaps even a president? That is the story we will explore.